So the war rages on in Gaza. We're almost, sadly, at the first anniversary of October 7th, which will just be another month. And hostages still remain in captivity. Who knows what their state is? We're talking about little children, elderly. Every possible crime done since the atrocities of October 7th. And of course, there are the calls for ceasefire. Sounds good. Who doesn't want a ceasefire? In any war, you want to end the war. But I'd like to point out something which is really, it's worse than infuriating to me. And maybe the best example would be, think of sometime mid-1944. Okay? The Allies are fighting the Nazis and the Germans in Europe, the Japanese in the Far East. They're winning. And it's becoming clear that the tide is turning and the Allies will conquer and be victorious. But there's a third neutral party, just hypothetical, says, let's call for a ceasefire. Who wants to see a war? What do you think would happen? Nobody would accept a ceasefire. It wasn't even on the table. It wasn't even discussed. Why? Because we're in the middle of a war. And a war that was a defensive war against aggressors, namely Germany, who attacked first Czechoslovakia, and then Poland, and then Russia, etc., etc. Great Britain, France, Great Britain. And now it was very clear what their intentions were. So the only way to end, you want a ceasefire? Very simple. Surrender unconditionally, and the war ends. The bloodshed ends, the bombing ends, the killings end. Ceasefire suggests a moral equivalence. Two people are at war, and now we need to end it. But that's not the case. 11 months ago, an aggressor called Hamas attacked Israel, unprovoked, didn't attack the military, attacked civilians in the most brutal, atrocious fashion, which we don't even have words for. That just adds to it, but they still attacked. They took hostages, over 240 hostages, including men, women, and children, breaking every law, every international law, war crimes, basically, with very clear intentions to try to use them as pawns and bargaining chips. They use their own civilians as such. So where's their basis for the call for a ceasefire? The call should be very straightforward. For total surrender, total return of the hostages, and furthermore, to eliminate any call for the destruction of Israel from land to the sea, or whatever the expressions are used. That's how you end the war. The whole narrative has become so distorted. So now, it's a matter, is Israel making concessions? Is Hamas making concessions? Even that very statement, Hamas is not making concessions. Israel has made concessions. What concessions? There's only one way to stop a war like this. Now you may think it's just semantics. Who really cares? So call it a ceasefire. It's not semantics. Because what is happening here is that a crime is being rewarded. The crime of taking hostages. You want back to a neutral state before October 7th, which is impossible, frankly, because too many people were killed. But as best as possible, the first thing is return of hostages. No, that becomes part of the game, so to speak. I'm not sure why people don't see through this. Media, ceasefire, ceasefire, ceasefire. It also, what it does is, it creates the distortion that Israel is firing. Israel is defending itself. Yes, the fact that some civilians were killed, and that's a big question, how many, and who's called a civilian, But let's, for argument's sake, there are. But that's the price of war. Many civilians were killed during World War II. And frankly, as we all know, that's exactly what the enemy wants. Hamas wants that. Now, I know you may say I'm subjective, I'm Jewish, I'm pro-Israel. It's all true. I am subjective. But like they say with paranoia, just because I'm paranoid doesn't mean no one wants to get me. Just because I'm subjective doesn't mean I'm not right. I ask anyone with a clear-headed mind, sit down and just look at all the facts. So of course the argument goes, it didn't begin October 7th. There's an occupation, a genocide, concentration camps, colonialization, all the catchwords, which frankly, someone that comes from the media, I know exactly where they come from. These are Madison Avenue PR words coined by PR firms to trigger people. So it all goes back. All they were doing was venting their grievances. Well, as a Jew, I can say I also have plenty of grievances. Talk about World War II. 6 million of my brothers and sisters were massacred. Why didn't I or any of my brethren vent and go ahead and rape men, women, and children and take hostages of the Germans or whoever else tortured us? You have grievances, there are ways to deal with them. You don't get results, is this the approach? But regardless, the bottom line is, when there's a declaration of war against you, you need to take it seriously. War was declared against Israel in 1948. I would say even before that, but then officially, and it's never ended. Some Arab countries, some Muslim countries have signed peace treaties with Israel. Okay. But not Hamas, not the more radical ones. And as long as the declaration of war, that you don't need an actual war to know that you have an enemy sworn to do whatever it has to do. And there's only one approach to that. Not ceasefire, total victory. Total surrender by the enemy. Now, had they not attacked, well, it was just a matter of time because they're calling for attack. They call for the destruction of Israel. They see 1948 as a disaster. Al-Nakba, as they call it, the catastrophe, and they want to reverse that. So we're not getting now into how Israel let its guard down and how it became naive or arrogant or whatever it may be. I'm going back to the ceasefire hoax. It is a hoax. The very word is a hoax. And a simple example that everybody can apply. You have someone living next door to you, your neighbor. Your neighbor tells you they hate you. They hate you because you did something to them that may even be justified. Their hatred. And not only they hate you, they attack you. Time and again. They're your neighbor. Then you hear them drilling under the ground and you see them building tunnels. And you know it's not a tunnel to get to the train station, it's a tunnel to attack you. And then they do. And they kill your family. And I say I don't mean anyone specifically here. God forbid, no one should ever know of this. They kill, not just kill, they brutalize. They take hostages. All because it's justified for whatever reason they have. So the fact that you were naive and you let your guard down, that's something you're going to have to live with. But now that they've done it, you say, okay, enough is enough. And you go to defend yourself, to go find those hostages, your children, your family. So being dear to your neighbor, you attack by night, by day, and you begin to make some inroads. You find some hostages. Then they start negotiating. We'll give you a few hostages if you stop attacking us. Think of the scenario. So you may do it because you want those hostages back. But you know that's not the solution. If anything, that'll just an incentive for them to take more hostages. Because it's not like that they're surrendering. And you say, no, give us back all the hostages immediately right now. Put down your arms, surrender. We are victorious. Then we talk about everything else. But they refuse to do so. You tell me what you would do. So yes, you have to wisely figure out, and if you can find the hostages, great. And then they convince everyone, ceasefire, look, they're killing us. They're killing you. You forgot the beginning of the story. It's your neighbor. I don't know if there's any human being or any country on earth that would behave in another way. And if you did, it would be tremendously criminal, irresponsible to your own family. As good as the nice line called ceasefire is, just as appeasement sounds so beautiful, but as Churchill said, appeasement is feeding the crocodiles in the hope you'll be eaten last. Then appeasement becomes criminal, not just neutral. When Chamberlain said, we have peace in our times because Hitler made him a promise, and while he was going down on the tarmac, flying back from Berlin, Hitler was already in Czechoslovakia and halfway to Poland. That's not peace. That's not even naivete. That's criminal. As the expression goes, when you'll be nice to the cruel, you'll end up being cruel to the nice. It's criminal if you don't protect your children from enemies like that. Now, we all wish that they wouldn't be that way. I have looked and combed, and correct me if I'm wrong, do a Google search, do any search for the word call for surrender. The Hamas surrender. Surrender here means very specifically return all the hostages, seize all aggression, and yes, and change your constitution. No call for surrender. It's part of the strategy. The whole part of the strategy was taking the hostages because they don't want to surrender. They want to win this battle. And then the hostages are being used as pawns and does not solve the situation. Obviously, every family member, and we pray those hostages should be released or should be freed, uninjured. But you see what's going on? I feel almost embarrassed that I have to even point this out. Because I don't think this is some type of brilliant analysis or insight like nobody could figure out. It's just that we've been taken hostage, our minds, by a PR propaganda campaign that has changed the entire discourse. It's no longer a criminal act. It's two sides. And ceasefire when two sides are at war. And they both have legitimate grievances. What exactly are Hamas's grievances? And if they did, why didn't they bring it up before October 7th and sit down? Now, if this wasn't life and death, then it would be a discussion, a theoretical discussion, a philosophical one. Unfortunately, this is life and death. And there are people's lives at stake here as we speak. Every time I look at the picture of those two redheads, the 18-month child and 4-year-old, now 18 months plus 11 months. 4 years old plus another 11 months, almost a year. Babies. A baby. Being held hostage. Who knows under which circumstances? Who knows even if they're alive? I wish they are. So we're talking about life and death here. And more importantly, what happens afterwards. You go back to pre-October 7th after what has happened. And no change. There's been no victory. Imagine that you would have given the Germans that with ceasefire right before everything ended, before Hitler committed suicide. What do you think would have happened? Germany would have begun to rebuild, the Nazis that is, even if they would have been pushed aside by others, but they have never really accepted loss. They had to completely lose. You have to know who the winner is and who the loser is. And the winner dictates the terms. And look today, Germany and Japan, you wouldn't know. Allies with the West. It's criminal to teach anything from the Nazis, National Socialist Party, Nazism. Does that mean everything is perfect? No, but the countries, ever since, we're talking now, since 1945, we're talking about now 80 years later. Not only have they been at peace, they're allies. They're allies with the United States, they're allies with Israel, allies with the West. So it was actually the unconditional surrender, not a ceasefire, but total surrender from the enemy that brought such peace. The lesson learned. So what's happening here? And why is Israel allowing itself even to be pulled into this? It almost sounds like somebody feels that they do have legitimate arguments, the Hamas that is. So I can go on, but I really wanted to articulate this for the record. Whoever's listening, we can't buy into a hoax. That's not how you find peace. Just like on a personal life, in a personal level, personal life in a home, in our homes, if there's abuse going on, to create a hoax and a fake narrative is not the way to solve problems. But I want to conclude on a positive note. When we are clear-headed and we understand the moral compass, the moral clarity that we need, and we know where we're coming from, we're not looking to hurt anyone, we're looking to protect, we're looking to perpetuate a life, a community, a society, a world where everybody is treated equally, everyone created in the divine image. Part of that sometimes it takes to bite a bitter bullet and do what has to be done. And he has the call for unconditional surrender, not ceasefire, is the way to bring true peace, lasting peace. And not just for Israel, but for the Palestinians, for the Muslims, for the Arabs, whoever you want to call it, whatever category, they're named, whatever they're called. And I say that in a way because some names are also part of the hoax. But bottom line is the protection of every innocent man, woman, and child. And sometimes that takes being tough. May not be popular. Ceasefire sounds very nice. But it's complete hoax. It's not a ceasefire you need. You need surrender. You need a total victory. A victory of what is right over what is wrong. And that's how you find permanent and lasting and sustainable peace. And I have no doubt that we can achieve that, but we need to be strong about it. God bless all good people, all innocent people, those that protect them, and may we merit to see, even before that first anniversary, not have to wait, the total victory and the total conclusion of these nightmares of the darkness. And going forward, the respect for every individual, Jew, Muslim, Christian, Bedouin, and everything in between. And together we can march into what is coming up as the Jewish New Year. We're going from the month of compassion into the Jewish New Year. But compassion sometimes includes being firm in your beliefs to make sure that the innocent are protected. God bless you all. God bless everyone. Be well. This has been Simon Jacobson. MeaningfulLife.com is our website, where you can find this and many other materials. Please subscribe to our offerings, to our YouTube channel. Please share. And please, love to hear your comments, even if you disagree with what I've just said. Even if you have another opinion or other thoughts, please share. And please offer your feedback, suggestions, ideas, thoughts. Be well and be blessed.